Bring it back. Whoa.
Moving and grooving, baby.
That is what we're doing right here on the hashtag Brothers of Baseball show. Of course, Willie Epting Jr. and Mike Fuji is in the house. We are back. Mike, are you ready to roll, man? Because it's go time in Major League Baseball. What say you?
Damn straight. Let's go.
You can't say that word on this.
Darn straight. Forgive me. Christian radio. I'm just getting off the clock at work. So
okay, we'll give you a pass for that, because I know how tiring that could be and how upsetting all that could be as well. So it's all good. Just in case you missed it in the first segment, yeah, we did talk about the pastime and whether or not it is that for America. We talked about the WBC in Venezuela doing their thing and winning the whole thing in the World Baseball Classic. We're going to pick up there and get Mike's quick thoughts on the victory from the Venezuelans and what they were able to do to Aaron Judge at the dish. But before we move any further, though, this second segment, it is being brought to you by the Big Game Christian Sports Network. You know what? That's not true. It is not. This second segment is being brought by Lake Crest Casino and Hotel. Look, I don't know about you, Mike, and I know you said you just got off work, but I could use a break, and I know you could too. Not just now, but from time to time. And what better way to spend it than at Lake Crest Casino and Hotel? I'm telling you right now, man, they got things going on up there. Lake Crest Casino Hotel is the ideal weekend getaway to unwind, explore, and enjoy. Located just 5 minutes from Lake Murray at exit 29 off the 35 freeway in Ardmore, Oklahoma, with 89 hotel rooms, 20 full hookup RV sites, boutique shopping at the Oasis, and you can dine at the Lakeside Grill or grab a coffee and quick bites from Winning Picks Coffee and more, or just check out their full service bar. Plus, they offer 1,000 of the newest, most popular electronic games with 8 table games, giving players a nonstop action experience. Whether you're into fast-paced games or classic table favorites, Lake Crest Casino and Hotel has you covered. So why wait? Plan your getaway and book your stay at Lake Crest Casino and Hotel. That's LakeCrestCasino.com. Again, that is LakeCrestCasino.com. I'm gonna have to get up there. I'm not much of a gambler or a drinker for that matter, but I mean, it sure does sound relaxing to me. All right, Mike. So I was just talking about it in the first segment about the WBC. I want to get your quick thoughts before we move on to your favorite Philly. And then we have some staggering information regarding our brothers and sisters that are the same shade of color as I am in Major League Baseball. So first of all, we want to say thank you guys for checking us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram TV. I see you guys out there watching, and of course, Twitter. So Mike, bring it, man. Tell everybody out there about your thoughts on the WBC Classic and what Venezuela was able to pull off.
Oh, I mean, Bryce Harper at that 2-run shot to tie the game. I mean, I thought, all the heat Bryce Harper, especially here in Philly, has been, jawing with Dave Dombrowski, with the non-elite T-shirt. I mean, to me, it was like, all right, we're back in this thing, but apparently USA just couldn't hold on to it. Venezuela won it, and, congratulations to Venezuela.
Yeah, and it was a remarkable tournament for those guys, and
Yes,
the talent that's in baseball around the world is so phenomenal. And when you think about all the players that come from other countries that are in Major League Baseball, I think it is fantastic. And especially with the opening game of the Giants and the Yankees being shown on Netflix. I think I heard somebody say that Netflix is in 190 something countries around the world. So the worldwide push for exposure for the sport continues. All right. So I got something I'm going to put on the screen because it is astonishing to me especially for me, because baseball is my favorite sport. It's the first sport I fell in love with, and it is the first sport that I actually played, and I played it the best. So I got this from Dwayne Sutton, who is a major contributor on the ShakeBack Sports Show that you can hear on the 12s and 6s, as well as the 1s and 7s Saturday and Sunday, all around the clock. And he sent this to me and my brother Donnie. And this is basically a photo of African American players from back in the day, along with some other statistics. And I don't know about you, Mike, but this when I go through these slides, right, or whatever you want to call them, to me, man, it is like, okay, where are we? What are we doing? So as you can see, pictured there is that's Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, and Fred McGriff. And the caption just basically says African American representation in the MLB peaked in the mid 1970s to the early 1980s, reaching almost 19% in 1981. So since then, it dropped to under 7% in 2023. And they asked players like Bonds and Gary Sheffield, Eric Davis, and others about the influx, or really the decline of what it is. And we talked about the WBC. There was not one single African-American player from Major League Baseball on that squad. And as I go through these slides, Mike, and I know it's going to be a little nostalgic for both of us, but Ricky Henderson's there, the all-time stolen base king. Let's go back to the other one, because on this one, you have the all-time home run hit king in Barry Bonds. You got the all-time stolen base leader. You have Ozzie Smith, one of the greatest defensive shortstops to ever play. You have Reggie Jackson and Dave Winfield, who was a three-sport star in football, basketball, and baseball. Reggie Jackson, of course, hit home run totals of 548 for his career, 563 for his career. Then you have Tony Gwynn, who to me was one of the best pure hitters of all time. And then there's CC Sabathia. He's a Cy Young Award winner and a World Series champion. Darryl Strawberry, and of course, Doc Gooden. When he came into the game in 1984, I think he won 24 games, maybe either his rookie year or his second year. Then you talk about, of course, Henry Pink and Bobby Bonds. All these guys, Frank Thomas and Kirby Puckett, rest his soul in heaven. And there's Bonds again. So as we talk about this and we go through these slides, Mike, man, give us your thoughts on why we're seeing what we're seeing in Major League Baseball.
I don't know why the decline of the African-American African-Americans not in baseball anymore. I mean, it's, you're going back here to the 80s and 90s, and, it was just a dominant, another guy you didn't mention was Dave Stewart, phenomenal pitcher, won a couple Cy Youngs, I think, with Toronto and Oakland back in those days, early 90s, mid 90s with Toronto and Oakland. But I don't understand the decline of it. I mean, it's just, I really can't put my finger why the African-American athletes do not play in the Major League Baseball anymore.
Here's something that I think is important to mention, and it might ruffle some feathers, but it's just my opinion. It's not anything that I'm reporting on or anything that that anybody has told me. But I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the existence of the father in the home for Black families is not nearly what it once was. Number two is that baseball does not, in my opinion, appear to be nearly as glamorous as the NBA or basketball or football to a degree, because you have the major hits in football, and then you have everybody high flying above the rim in basketball. And then thirdly, there's just I don't know if Major League Baseball is doing enough with the initiative. I know they were at one time, but it
Right.
just seems as though all of that has gone away. And for
Well,
me, go ahead.
well, no, I was going to say is that I mean to me it's like our age bracket baseballs was up there with football, and it's just like, is it a generational thing like you're saying, between the NBA, the NFL? Just I just don't think these younger generations. I just don't think baseball really appeals to these younger generations because it's like things. Everybody. Some people just think baseball is boring, but I mean
Mm-hmm.
it's gotten better over the last couple years with the pitch clock and just you're you're right. It's just why is there a decline?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that um, the legends of the game, they may have some sort of feeling about it, but maybe they need to collaborate a little bit more and do their thing in terms of having some sort of influence, maybe going into the hoods and or not just in the hoods. I mean, wherever there's a significant percentage of African
Oh,
American families, and do something to that effect. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. But let's move on because I got a question for you, and you cannot mention Michael Jack Schmidt as your
I already
favorite
know
Philly
the
of all
answer.
time.
I already know the answer. And,
All right, so
and it's
let's
not
hear it.
Michael
Who
Jack Schmidt.
is not Michael Jack Schmidt? Okay,
No,
so
it is
here's
not.
the question: even if you could mention Michael Jack Schmidt, would you be talking about him as your favorite Philly of all time?
No, I would not.
Okay, so let's hear it. Let's hear it then.
Who's my favorite Philly of all time?
Yes, sir.
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. God rest his soul. And you know, that's another name that is so synonymous with the sport and should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care what he did off the field as a
Right.
manager.
Exactly.
You cannot talk about the history of the sport without mentioning the all-time hit king. You just can't. You just can't.
No, not at
So,
all.
and when he got to Philly,
It's
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was 8 years old when the Phillies won the World Series in 1980. Pete Rose signed with the Phillies as a free agent in 1979, which, I was fortunate. That was like the golden era of Philly sports because all four major teams made it to their respective championships. And unfortunately, the Phillies were the only one that won the World Series. The Sixers lost to the Lakers. The Flyers lost to the New York Islanders. And the Eagles lost to your Raiders in Super Bowl 15, unfortunately. But,
Yeah, we
which, being 8 years old, like, damn, this is phenomenal. Like, could this happen every year? But that's the only time in sports history that ever happened with a major city.
Yeah.
So, but Pete Rose, I mean, I just got lucky at that right time, being 8 years old. Pete was in the twilight of his career, but they brought Pete in to get the pressure off Mike Schmidt because it just seemed like they lost to the Dodgers. I do sort of remember those Dodger teams in the late 70s that the Phillies just couldn't get over the hump. But like I said, they brought Pete in 79, and it was just it was an aging team, and you just brought Pete Rose in at the right time with Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton, Larry Boa, Bake McBride, Gary Maddox,
Gary Maddox.
Lonnie Smith,
Lonnie Smith, yes.
Phenomenal rookie. Hated to see him get traded, but it was just the right time where the Phillies just, finally, got the monkey off their back and beat Kansas City in 6 games.
George Brett was
Mm-hmm.
on that Royal squad, but that
Hale McRae, Willie
Hal
Mays
McRae,
Aikens,
Willie
Amos
Mays Aikens.
Otis, Dennis Leonard, Dan
Yes, sir.
Quisenberry.
Yes, sir. Who was their closer was
Dan Quisenberry.
Dan Quisenberry, the quiz with that sidewinding stuff.
Yep.
But when you talked about that Dodger squad, you know who was on that squad for real? I'm gonna give you one guess. He recently won a championship with the team that was accused of cheating.
Dusty Baker.
Dusty Baker was on that squad.
I got a story for you about Dusty Baker.
Okay, we're gonna hold on to that maybe into the next episode. So we're gonna go ahead and get to the predictions and stuff here in just a second. But I want to ask you, a team from either league that made the playoffs last year that we just don't see getting there this year. And you can name one or two, it's up to you, but it needs to be, if you're going to do two, it has to be one from either league.
Trying to remember who was in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean, you when you think about it, it was Milwaukee won the NL Central last year. Right. The Cubs, they did get in. The Dodgers, oh my gosh,
Phillies.
The Phillies,
the
Padres, and the Reds. So you gotta pick of the litter right there. While you think about it, let me go ahead.
I don't have the Reds getting in.
Okay, you don't have the Reds getting in. Shout out to Jose Trevino, catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. They will be here in Arlington for the Rangers home opener. I will be in the hizzy, hopefully as a credentialed member, but if not, definitely as a fan. So Mike goes with the Cincinnati Reds. I'm going with the Milwaukee Brewers because they got so many injuries already and they're a little long in the tooth. So we'll see what happens there. And for the American League, I just don't really trust Toronto. Last year, they finally got over the hump after me picking them so many years prior to that. And they lost a little bit as well. And their whole pitching rotation seems to be injured too. So I've got Milwaukee from the NL and Toronto from the AL. So we're going to flip it. And we have about 2 minutes left to go in the segment. So what team from either league that did make the playoffs last year, but won't make it this year? Wait a minute. I did that wrong. I know.
You got me confused.
Yeah, I did that wrong. So it was a team that did make the playoffs last year, but won't make it this year. So this team, a team that didn't make it, that will make it this year. Yeah, that was crazy. Got the Mets. The Mets are like in everybody's wheelhouse. The Mets are on everybody's radar because of the moves that they made, plus with the talent that they already had. And I actually agree with you. I'm going the Mets in the National League, and I'm going Houston in the American League. I think that the AL West is stronger to include the Astros, and I do believe they'll get two teams in. We're going to get to all of that here, the predictions here in the next segment. Come on back on the other side of the break. There's Mike. Big days in the background. Willie Epting Jr., #Brothers of Baseball Show. Y'all come back and holler at us.